Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right, finally, we can talk Lawrence Okolie versus Chris Billam-Smith. I know it's a bit late, but better late than never. It's been a busy week in this crazy world of boxing. I think this fight's going to deliver. I really do. I know Lawrence Okolie gets accused of having dull and boring fights. I don't think this is going to be one. I think Chris Billam-Smith is going to force him to fight, and that might bring out the best in Okolie. Both of them are in incredible shape. I mean, Chris Billam-Smith's in shape. So there's shape that most boxers should have, right, if you lived a life. But then Chris Billam-Smith's taking it to another level. He lives near me, and the amount of times I randomly just see him jogging. Like, any time of the day, I see Chris Billam-Smith. I drive past him, like, that's Chris Billam-Smith, just jogging, putting the miles in. You know when I knew he lived the life? I remember it might have been after the Tommy McCarthy fight. So most times after these fight cards, everyone goes back to the hotel and people have a couple of drinks. You see some fighters having a couple of drinks, tucking into pizza, whatever's available that time of night. Chris Billam-Smith, I think, was offered a drink. And I remember overhearing him say, "I don't drink." And I was like, I banked that information. I was like, tick. I love that. When I know fighters are living, and look, this is nothing against fighters that like a drink. I get it, right? You've been through a tough fight camp. You stripped yourself of everything. And all sometimes you want to do is a beer. Chris Billam-Smith was like, "No, I don't drink." And I was like, yeah, this guy lives the life. Like, he lives the life. I think it's going to be an incredible atmosphere down at the Vitality Stadium. What have they done? 12, 13,000 tickets. Congratulations to all of them. It's a shame I can't be there, but obviously I am in Manchester. I go up tomorrow morning for the Leigh Wood Mauricio Lara card, or Mauricio Lara versus Leigh Wood. Let's hope that fight still happens. I say that there is obviously this issue. Let's talk about it. The weigh-ins are wrapped up a couple of hours ago. Mauricio Lara, considerably overweight. 4 pounds in these lower weight classes is a lot. It's a lot. You've moved into another division. The fight, I think, will still go ahead. Ben Davison clearly isn't happy. He called it disgraceful, and it is disgraceful. Some have asked for the fight to be scrapped just because, you know, Mauricio Lara has now got an advantage because he's going to be a lot bigger and he's a puncher. It's going to be difficult. I know Leigh Wood 100%, if asked, will say, "No, we're fighting." 100%. Ben Davison might be a bit more reluctant to. Sometimes I feel like you have to take it out of their hands. You have to. And even out of the promoter's hands. And maybe it's the British Boxing Board of Control that should be making a judgment on this. Rather than asking Leigh Wood and Ben Davison, "Do you want to fight?" Maybe it's a case of, we don't even ask you. If a fighter comes in that much overweight, we just say, "Okay, we're pulling the fight." Maybe that's what you do, because I'm telling you now, he could have come in at 140 and Leigh Wood's going to fight him. What needs to happen now, if the fight goes ahead, and I'm filming this at 5 o'clock, hopefully by the time this comes out, nothing's changed. But what needs to happen now is the British Boxing Board of Control need to earn their coin. They really do. They need to they need to be strict on this and restrict him. So there needs to be, and I hate this normally, but this is the time for it. There needs to be a rehydration cap here. There needs to be. So morning, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning, Mauricio Lara can't weigh more than 140. You need to hurt him a little bit. He can't weigh more than 140. And then maybe even another one. Maybe even 5 o'clock, he can't weigh more than... Do you know what I mean? Because this guy can't literally get off the scales and then balloon up to whatever he wants to balloon up to. That's full advantage to Mauricio Lara. Yes, even him getting down to 129.8 would have hurt him. But right now, you can't just be a case of he's in Nando's, scoffing his face and drinking as much electrolytes and water he wants to pump back up. Can't happen. They've got to be strict on this one and cap him. You've got to cap him. 140, even that's quite a lot. But I think you cap him 140, 11 in the morning, and then you cap him again. That's just what I think. Some of you might say, "Ade, that's a bit too strict." I think that's what you've got to do. Because you've got to somehow equal this out a little bit. Because it's full advantage to Mauricio Lara. Full advantage to him. And I feel like that's not fair on Leigh Wood. So look, that's what I think. I would rather do that than cancel it. Just because I think it's unfair on Leigh if he cancel it. He's been for a whole fight camp. And I know some will say, yeah, but he can fight again in 2 or 3 weeks. He's been for a whole fight camp to fight him. To fight Mauricio Lara. He wants revenge. I don't think we should take away the opportunity for him and the fans that have travelled all the way as well. There'll be a lot of fans travelling in for this one. It's unfair on them as well. That being said, you've got to look at fighter safety. And again, there's a lot of people that would have to have made a tough decision on this one. Let's hope, fingers crossed, they've made the right decision, because if Leigh gets hurt in this fight, then there's going to be questions being asked. If Leigh gets knocked out badly in this fight, there's going to be severe questions being asked. And I think it's up to me to start the questioning first. Honestly, I promise you, if he gets hurt in this fight, I will immediately throw this to Eddie. Like, who made the decision to allow this continue, etc., etc. It's difficult, but I'll ask those questions. All right, let's talk Okolie versus Chris Billam-Smith. Again, I said at the top, I think it's a fight that will deliver. I really do. I remember listening to an interview with Shane McGuigan when he came on Talk Sport. I think he was with White and Jordan. And he said that he won't allow this to be a dull fight, him being Chris Billam-Smith. He will put it on Lawrence Okolie. And having watched Chris Billam-Smith pretty much since the start of his career, that's just the way he fights. I mean, if Okolie's that good to make this into an Okolie-like fight, then congratulations to Okolie. But I think Chris Billam-Smith will force Okolie to fight, because Chris Billam-Smith is all-out attack. He fights one way. He does. And that one way is improved, by the way, over the years. I think the easiest way to judge the improvement is if you look at the Tommy McCarthy fight the first time. I think they fought in fight camp, split decision. Could have gone either way. Very, very close fight. They fought 8 months later. Chris Billam-Smith destroyed him, hurt him so many times, and stopped him in the 8th. That shows the jump in improvement that Chris Billam-Smith has had and made under Shane McGuigan. He's probably the most improved fighter in Britain. I was going to say Conor Benn as well, obviously, but Conor Benn's going through an issue. But I think they're the most improved fighters. I don't think many people expected Chris Billam-Smith to be where he is now and make the jumps he's made. And let's not forget, the one defeat on his record is to Richard Riakporhe, and that was a split decision. That was, it wasn't like Richard Riakporhe bashed him up. That was a split decision. He's a very good fighter, very good fighter. Lawrence Okolie, you can't help but feel there's another level to be unlocked with Lawrence Okolie. And maybe that's the reason. And I think he did an interview with Boxing News today. I haven't watched it. I'll watch it after this. I should have watched it before this. But I think he explained why he left. But maybe there's another level that needs to be unlocked. And if he thinks Sugar Hill Stewart can unlock it, maybe being in and around Tyson Fury in that camp. But it's there. It's there because I watch him fight and I still feel like he's fighting in second or third gear. I really do. And I think Chris Billam-Smith might unlock that level. Because I think Chris Billam-Smith, well, look, they've sparred hundreds, if not thousands of rounds. Chris Billam-Smith knows Lawrence Okolie, knows him well. They both have this very relaxed, almost smug approach to this. Especially Chris Billam-Smith. It's almost like he knows something we don't know. But then Lawrence Okolie seems very chilled as well, which makes me believe that both of them had success with each other in sparring. We haven't heard any sparring stories of anyone getting knocked down or hurt. It's almost like both of them are quite respectful, and they've known, or they know that, sparring, I had my success, you had yours. Let's see you can do it on the real night, real fight, smaller gloves, let's see. For Lawrence, this is risky, man. It's risky. It really is. I know his first fight on Boxer went down like a lead balloon, right? It was awful, wasn't it? People weren't happy about that. But this is risky, saying, okay, Chris Billam-Smith next. It is, because Shane knows you inside out and Chris knows you inside out. The same, I guess, could be said of Lawrence knowing Chris inside out. So, look, very intriguing fight. Gun to the head, I think Lawrence Okolie stops him just because I do think Chris gets hit and he is aggressive, and sometimes his aggression can leave openings. And although Lawrence does telegraph that right hand, he seems to always land that right hand as well. So I think Lawrence unlocks something, hopefully unlocks another gear, and I think he stops Chris Billam-Smith late. However, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked, super shocked, if Chris Billam-Smith guts this one out. I wouldn't be shocked if Chris Billam-Smith is winning on the scorecards, surprisingly winning. Lawrence comes back in the second half of the fight, and then Chris almost just holds on in the championship rounds. I do think both of them are going to get hurt in this fight, but I just think Lawrence's power is a bit too much. Like, they're both very big cruisers, but Lawrence is the cruiser that everyone thinks really should be finding it heavy. And Chris is just naturally a very good big cruiser. So I think Lawrence gets it done, but not without problems. It's a really great matchup, isn't it? It's such a good weekend of boxing. Again, I know I'm going to harp on about this, but it is a shame that 3 really good fights all on at the same time, roughly, and you're not going to be able to watch. I mean, even if the ring walk for Michael Conn and Luis Alberto Lopez, we haven't even spoken about that fight, even if it is at 9, I mean, unless you've got your phone with you ringside, which I'm guessing most probably will have, it's going to be difficult to dip in and out of fight cards. So it is a shame. But look, great main event. It really is. And I wish them both luck. Massive fan of both of these guys. Every time I see Chris Billam Smith, it's all love. Massive fan of his. And Lawrence is my boy. He is my boy. So, it's a weird one for me. But I do think Lawrence gets the job done. But I think Chris Billam Smith's going to have a lot of success because, again, he knows Lawrence very, very well. All right. All right, where are we? Let's have a look. See if there's any other news that's worth talking about. Eddie Hearn offers promotional advice to Haney, suggests sticking to 2-fight deals. Yeah, I think that's what all boxers should do. I want to hear a boxer, and look, don't get me wrong, not all boxers at the elite level, boxers that potentially are world champions or are very, very close to being world champions or just big draws, like Ryan and Javante, for example. 2-fight deals. Don't risk it. Don't risk being stuck in a 5-fight deal with a promoter and broadcaster and then not being able to fight person X who's with another rival promoter and broadcaster because you're stuck. I think 2-fight deals are fantastic, and I think it gives power to everyone. Everyone should be happy with that. John Ryder hoping for Golovkin clash. I want to test myself against him. Don't know if Golovkin's going to fight again. He's gone very, very quiet of recent. I'll be surprised if he does. 41, unless you're offering him more money than he's worth at this stage. Like, Golovkin's not worth what I think Golovkin wants. Like, whatever Golovkin got paid for Canelo, let's see if we can find it out actually. He's probably not worth it anymore. He's not that draw, is he? Canelo purse. See if we can find it. Here we go. I don't know if this is true or not, but let's see. What does it say? Golovkin got paid. Golovkin made, according to Boxing Scene, 20 million guaranteed, and could end up, if the pay-per-view did well, taking home over 45 million. Pay-per-view didn't do that great, but I'm guessing Golovkin still got some increase on that. So Golovkin probably walked away with around $25 million. Golovkin, he ain't going to get a fifth of that fighting anyone. A fifth. So it'd be different. So his motivation might have waned a little bit. Keith Furman says motivation to get back to knocking people out comes from Gervonta Davis. Keith, give it up. Give it up. When Keith fought Barrios, Keith was talking to talker. We're going to stay active. We're going to do the. Keith hasn't fought for 15 months again. Am I wrong? Hopefully I'm not wrong and I'm not just chatting shit. But I'm sure the Barrios fight was last year, January. Might be wrong. Let's have a look. Barrios was last year, Feb. Sorry. Last year, Feb? Yeah, last year, Feb. He's not fought since then. The Pacquiao fight was 2.5 years before that. Forget it. That's not even a part-time boxer. Just leave it alone. I feel like there was a chance for him to fight Crawford or Spence before their fight got made. Like, the winner of Crawford Spence isn't going to fight Furman. I doubt the loser will either. So it's too late. Look, he can still fight, but I don't believe he really wants to anymore. Josh Kelly extends promotional pact with Wasserman Boxing. Wasserman tweeted, "We got really big news coming." I was like, well, what is it? This wasn't news it wasn't big news for me. Josh is fighting in 3 weeks in Newcastle. I want him to get thrown into the mix at world level and just see what he can do. I thought he looked so good against Troy Williamson, and I don't think they've capitalised on how good he looked, but we'll see. Jamie Moore, this is. For me, I'd like Chantel Cameron to face Harper next then Jonas. Wow, okay. Yeah, I'd favour Chantel in that fight. Big time. Big time. I think Chantel go up to 154 now and beat her. Like, Terry Harper's not a big 154. Terry Harper, I'm not quite sure what she weighed for Ivana Habazin, but for Cecilia Brackus, she weighed in at 151. I spoke to her and I said, can you make 147 or even 140 for the big fight? She said, yeah, easy. So, yeah, I'd favour Chantel to beat her. Tasha Jonas, that's a good fight. That's a very good fight. What we got here? Reactpour says Okolie needs to KO Billam Smith. Can't allow fight to reach judges. I don't know if Okolie will get robbed on the scorecards. I know it's in Billam Smith's hometown, but it's not like this fight's in America or anything. It's a fight. It's in England, so I'm not quite sure. Demetrius Andrade stands firm that Canelo is running from real fighters. For fuck's sake. Fucking hell, man. Let me 1 second, people. Running from real fighters. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna get Canelo's box rec up, just because why not? And I want you to tell me the real fighters he's running from. And all of a sudden, box rec seems to have decided to not work, but we can do it anyway off the top of our heads. So John Ryder last time out. I know he's gonna get a bit of stick for that one, but I think we saw that John was pretty good. Hey guys, you know what was interesting about the size of the ring? I spoke to John Ryder and Tony Sims. I was like, fucking hell, that ring was small. They said, yeah, we wanted that ring. I was like, huh? They wanted a small ring as well. I was digging Canelo all this time, saying Canelo forced John Ryder to fight in that small ring. John Ryder was happy with the size of the ring. Crazy. Anyway, John Ryder, Golovkin, Bivol, Caleb Plant, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev. It's actually quite laughable. This Danny Jacobs is in there. Golovkin again is in there. Sorry, where's the gimme? Where's the gimme? I forget. Avni Yildirim. You are correct, Demetrius Andrade. He easy fights because he fought Avni Yildirim. What a joke. Did you hear what I just said there, guys? That run. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. At 160, those runs, by the way, 160, 168 and 175, free weight classes. But he's yeah. I don't know. This was ridiculous. This was ridiculous. Ludabella applying medication to her dog caused Gabrielle's to test positive for clostebol. Never heard of this drug before, but I mean, we've heard some fucking great excuses for why people failed drug tests. This is new. If you're wondering who Gabrielle's was, she was the girl that was supposed to fight Clarissa Shields. She failed a test, but Lou DeBella, who looks after her, said she failed it because she was applying medication to her dog that got on her hands, and that's the result of. I'm fucking sorry. That's the greatest one I've ever heard. That's the greatest one I've ever heard. Ever. We've heard a lot. That's the best by a million miles. Jeez. Great one. Great one. All right. We are done. Peace and love.